Morning and welcome to Mirador Television. Today is Monday the 24th and we have Keith has joined us. There's some issues with his camera. He'll be sorting himself out. Sorry that we started late. There were some issues with I don't know, technical issues, StreamYard, who knows. But today we have some very big story in the headlines today. In my eyes, kind of an unfortunate story. I will be honest. I've got the Daily Mail here, and it says Rishi set for number 10, and as Boris bows out, he is officially not coming back. And good morning, Keith. Hello.
Hello, I'm trying here to. I'm there.
Yeah, you are there. Hello.
Yes, a very good morning to you from West London again, where
Morning.
we're planted this time in the Novotel Hotel. And
What?
a very charming lady. I'm really getting very, very enamored of the way that we British in hotels greet people. Because, as you know, we have a wonderful crew at. Incidentally, you're quite dark, Max, this morning.
Yes, I'm trying
Um,
to get the lights sorted, but it won't turn on.
oh dear. Um, the At the hotel, at the White Hart Hotel, we always have wonderful greetings. But here at the Novotel, which is quite a large hotel in West London, the lady was most helpful, most kind, charming, and got me going. So all in all, I think that we don't do too badly on that. So that lamp has bust, has it?
Well, it was working not even 3 minutes ago. The newspaper grazed over it and it turned off, and now it will not turn back on.
Well,
Oh,
are you
hang on,
sure?
there we go.
Sure.
I've got it working
Uh,
now.
yeah. Oh, that's better. Now we can actually see you.
There we
Yeah.
go.
You're
I don't know
terrific.
why
Yeah.
that wouldn't turn on. And
Yeah, so the papers are full of the Boris this morning. I looked at them before I left home, and of course they're all much of a muchness. And the only difference is did he go of his own accord? Did he indeed decide it was the wrong time, or
uh,
was he blocked by some of the people who the tail wagging the dog?
well, supposedly Boris declined. He said he cannot run the Conservative Party if they are not unified. Was his quote. But the Conservative Party, at least not in my lifetime, they've never been unified.
Well, I think what he's really saying is that will people agree to follow the leader? And actually, for the last 8 or 10 years, they have not, and they have been the architect of their own downfall. The only thing that you must give credit to Boris is that he actually did unify them for a while. What was it, a 40 seat, 80 seat majority? You don't do that by accident.
Yeah. It's a
I know
shame.
you're
He
not a
will
fan.
not be
I know
coming
you're not a
back.
fan, and I know a lot of people aren't a fan. However, what I would say is I am very, very uneasy about Mr. Sunak.
Same.
When he was chancellor, he was smoke and mirrors. What he did was he took from the rich, gave to the poor, and then took it back again, and said that the government was putting in extra money. They were doing no such thing. So if we're talking about liars and cheats, it's a choice of one or the other.
We don't have
Not
any good candidate
much
options,
between them.
really.
Sorry.
We don't really have any good candidate options.
No, we don't. But you see, to me, you know what I say is 650 of them, get rid of the lot of them. None of them is fit for purpose. And I'm afraid that we are in that sort of syndrome where people have gone into politics to make a lot of money or a career step up, not for the sense of duty. Now, you can say that Parliament was dominated by the rich, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and that was true. But most of those rich did have the one thing that is necessary for governance, and that is a sense of duty. If any of these people could get a sense of duty instead of the sense of what they are after power, money, position, status, is I would be all for the present system. But the present system is a corruption of the decent democratic system which we have had. Yeah.
Well, you and me both said the same thing. As just bring Boris back. Just bring him back. The most conservative voters I know have said the same thing. Just bring him back. All the other candidates aren't very good. He is the best option of a bad bunch.
Yes. But you see that the people in power, or the people who actually have the vote and who do the selection, is they took a look and they've decided what is good for them. Not what's good for us, what is good for them. And that is what's wrong with our governance at the moment. That's why I say sweep it clean. What was his name? Dexter Brewster, was it? In Brewster's Millions. None of the above. And that's my theme, is none of the above. And I have to say that I had a brush with the town council. I'm not going to mention any names. The town council on Saturday night, or Friday night, sorry.
I think you've frozen. Hello? Hello? Okay, well, let me just double check.
There we go.
Oh, hello, you're back.
Yeah.
You left off the brush off with the town council, not going to name any names.
No, and frankly, I ceremonially, I like the town council. The idea of a small number of people looking after the town with some sort of authority and, once again, some sense of duty appeals to me. But once again, it's the incumbents that are wrong. And what do we do about the level of incumbents? Should we have an examination? Should we send them to school? Should we actually give them a test about their sense of duty as opposed to their sense of what can I get out of it? I don't know. All I do know is that it's something I'm deeply uneasy about governance of the United Kingdom at the moment. I approve of the system. I support the system. But the people that are inhabiting the system at the moment are, in my view, not at all nice people and not at all happy to do the job unless there is something in it for them. Secondly, I was on Friday night. I worry now about the bonfire societies and their sense of freedom of the press, because I was booted out of their badge giving or whatever the hell it was. I have to say, for the very short period there I was there, it was like watching paint dry. So if it was exciting, it got exciting after I'd been thrown out. But we were invited there by the sponsor. And then suddenly they said that they handed over the rights of this thing. They have every right to do that. It's a private session. As long as they don't actually use the roads and the public facilities on bonfire night without some sense of they cannot be exclusive on that night. Friday night, to be quite honest with you, I think we did our viewers a service by not broadcasting it. But we were invited to do so, and then we were told we couldn't because they sold the rights to somebody. Well, I'll tell you, if those people come across our desk, we will not play it. They can have their rights. We're at war.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, that was an unfortunate evening. But we definitely need to make sure we're able to film on bonfire night. We should be able to.
It's all right. We've actually got that sorted. I had nice words with the nice people at the White Hart. We've got no problem at all. We won't. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I realize you're on a call.
Yeah, it's right. It's one of my fellow trainers who's just passing by. The coffee hasn't arrived yet, so I can't get a cup of coffee. No, that is not an issue. However, in the past, they have tried with overseas film crews and so on to try and stop them from filming in the streets. And that's quite wrong, of course. That's absolutely wrong. And particularly when freedom of the press is under great pressure in almost every part of the world, including here. And I would hope that the bonfire societies, because actually the people that I deal with, in fact, the man who threw me out was most apologetic. It was Keith Norman. And Keith Norman is one of the nicest people that you could ever wish to meet. And he is very funny. He's actually been a sometime presenter of a very amusing program on Mirador. So all in all, it was a nice bloke that booted me through the door. And did so apologetically, but he couldn't do anything about his own organization. The only thing is that it seems to me that the bonfire societies are falling into the trap that the governance people, that our MPs and so on are. They don't. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. They're not talking to each other, and that is very sad because the end run, November the 5th, the night of November the 5th, is extremely good. It's a well worthwhile seeing, well worthwhile being drinking in the atmosphere, and actually, I will say this: they raise enough money to pay for their fireworks. So all in all, it is very self-sustaining. But there's got to be more to an organisation than that. It's got to have heart. If it doesn't have heart, then it will founder eventually. And I suspect that this lot, who are in charge of this particular bonfire council or whatever this year, do not have heart, and that's what they're going to have to find. Incidentally, Mick Symes was also there. Dear old Mick, he's a great guy. And Kevin Kramer, our own Kevin Kramer, was the master of ceremonies. I didn't get to see how good he was. I was booted through the door before I could hear him. But Max, quite seriously, that's only happened to me. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
You're not from Qatar, I can tell.
No, we are here for impact of public sector policy course.
Right. It's a different suite, different room.
Oh.
Yeah. I was expecting two ladies, and you don't look a bit feminine. Where are you from, by the way?
Nigeria.
Oh, they're both from Nigeria. I'm from Damaturu. Lovely Nigerian people, and I'm always able to share it because I know Nigeria quite well. And when I tell them where I'm from, or where I've been actually, it's a bond.
That's nice.
It's always a bond. But I was saying that there are only two places that I've actually been denied access. One was in Kosovo. And the young lady that I was with was eventually shot, not dead, but she was shot, and that was government keeping us out of looking at the national accounting figures, and the other was in Northern Ireland, where it was one of the boys. Who, when they stare at you, you can feel the trickle of sweat go down your spine. But that's the only two places that I've ever been denied, and now a third is Lewis.
So hang on a minute. Let me get this straight. The only places you've been denied is by a Eastern European government,
Well,
the
not Eastern
IRA.
European, Balkan government. Yeah.
Balkan government, by
Yeah.
the Balkan government, the IRA, and Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm afraid there are people, we go through this thing which I heartily laugh at. And that is, I was born in Lewis, so I'm terribly special. I have lived and worked in more places you can shake a stick at. I can name you 50 places where they all think that they're terribly special, and that anybody who wasn't born there was, is people who've never been anywhere, never done anything, never experienced anything outside their own small enclave. They have a very strange idea about what exclusivity. Good morning, and so we, all in all, it's a bunch of nonsense. I can sit on the sidelines and grin. I've been a runner in. I've been a DP, displaced person. I've been a DFL. You name it. I've been it, and it's all the same thinking. No, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay, what else are we going to talk about, Max? You're in control this morning.
Well, we were going to go straight into the headlines. Do you have your iPad or phone to look at the headlines with me?
Okay, you read out the headline to me, and I'll. I don't actually have. Because I arrived just 2 minutes in time to get
You
on
can
the air. I
open a
don't
new
actually
tab on your computer.
have them in front of me, but yeah. Do you want to read out the headlines and we can discuss them?
Yeah, I can try. Yeah.
Okay. Good exercise for you. Good practice for you.
From the Daily Express, Rishi's
Right.
new PM in waiting after Boris quits race. That's from the Daily Express. And their section underneath says the majority of Monday's newspapers led with the news that Boris Johnson has ruled himself out of the Conservative leadership race. The Daily Express says that Rishi is set to be crowned as the next Prime Minister after Johnson consoled he would not be able to unite the party to govern effectively.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be one hell of a job to unite this lot. They are too used to doing their own thing and having their own way, and forming this little cabal. As I say, it's the tail wagging the dog, and they have destroyed more governments between them. What are they doing there? I mean, this little cabal. The question I would put to them is, why are you there? Because there is nothing positive that comes out of this group. They just seem to want to destroy whoever is in authority. And they have a role to play, a part to play in putting people in power. They have a role to play in putting Boris in power, and in Liz Truss, and now possibly Richie Sunak. It's all very well if you do that. You've got to stand by your decisions of what you do, and they're not. The moment that something goes wrong is, wow, let's get rid of them, blah, 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 blah. And they're quite capable of being able to do it at the moment, and that's where they need slapping down. In fact, they need showing the door. We don't need people like that in Westminster. We need sparky people. We need people who will ask questions. We need people that will cast doubt on government policy. Not the way that they're doing at the moment.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But the thing is, no one's going to be in there casting doubt or questioning things. I would like to be an MP. I would like to run. But to be one, you have to have gone through the party machine for years. You can't just get into politics. So all that bright spark you once had as a youngster will fizzle out because you've been through the machine for so many years.
Well, you see, I do understand that I'm a bit sympathetic to Boris. I keep on hearing people sort of saying, oh well, he's a very naughty man and he does this and does that. Yeah, it's a sign of a colourful man, but I don't see anything sinister the way that I do in other people who are in governance and in opposition, for that matter. Anyway, that's another issue for another morning. But one of the things that I think that Boris did before the last election was he gave a speech and he said that governance, that our governance was not fit for purpose and it needed reform and it needed looking at root and branch. And of course, he then took over as Prime Minister. And then the first thing that he got was COVID, lockdown. Then he'd got Brexit. and then the aftermath of that with the breakdown of the economy. So he had plenty on his plate, so not to look at what he said we should, and that is have a look root and branch at the way we govern. And he's absolutely right. And I can say to anybody except a politician, is reform is a dirty word to them. It's a swear word. It's an obscene word. But I tell you, reform is much needed in the air.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll move on to the next headline, which is from The Guardian. Not the right time. Johnson is out of the race to lead the Tories. That's The Guardian's headline.
Well,
They
the Guardian, of course, would be rubbing its hands with glee. The Guardian is very much the Guardian is sort of the liberal type newspaper, the type of liberalism of which I do not agree. It's as bad as the backbenchers. But anyway, that's another issue to discuss one morning.
Yeah. Well, The Guardian also leads with the former PM pulling out of the race as a more senior party figure. I'm not sure what that says. The paper says Boris Johnson struggled to get the backing of enough Conservative MPs from The Guardian.
Well, if in fact some of these figures ganged up against him, I think that's probably true. That doesn't mean to say to reflect the sentiment. But I'll tell you something: if Rishi Sunak goes belly up, these are the people that need to be held to account, and we shall make no bones about pointing the finger at them and suggesting that they quit Parliament as well. Really, there are 650 people there, and barely a one that should be. Barely a one.
I did read in the Daily Mail, because I got the newspaper here again, but the next Prime Minister will be announced on the 28th of October at around 4 p.m.
That's Monday, is it not?
No, that's Friday.
On Friday?
28th of October. Yes.
Today's the 24th.
4 days' time.
Okay, what are we today? It's Monday, is it?
Monday the 24th today. The 28th of October will
be Friday. You're quite right.
Will be a Friday, yes.
Okay. So this Friday will. Well, I assume that if there's nobody stands, if Miss Mordaunt backs down, there's nobody up against Rishi, so he's going to be by default.
Oh my
that's
God!
That's democracy. That's democracy in action, isn't it? Yeah. They go from bad to worse. They really do. And do you know something? They don't know it. That's the big problem. Is a late one of the actual really unsung but greats of media, Graham Addercott, who God bless him passed away about 3 months ago. We were great friends, and he used to say they don't know what they don't know. And that's true of this lot that we've got in Westminster. They don't know what they don't know. Unfortunately, that's when people faff around without any sort of direction. And that's what we've got. Very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Well, we'll move on to the next paper, which is the Mirror. Johnson humiliated. Sunak set for power is the headline from the Mirror.
One would expect it from the Mirror, yeah. Left-wing glee. You see, and what he's going to say is, Labour should be taken over. But that's the sort of attitude that a lot of those people to the left have got. All these people that vote Conservative are toffs. Nothing can be further from the truth. But they will not let that go.
Well, I do think there should have been a general
election. The Mirror was a very good paper at one time. It's not anymore.
Well, their sub text is the Daily Mirror says humiliated Johnson and claims that he had the numbers to return to PM, but feared he would split the party. The paper says only Penny Mordaunt now stands in the way of Rishi Sunak.
Well, I mean, she's well behind. She hasn't even got the right number of MPs yet, I understand. And I think that
Really, Boris,
it's
Rishi
today the
Sunak
deadline for.
by default.
Is today the deadline?
Pardon?
Is today the deadline for nominations?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think
So
1
we'll
o'clock.
know tonight whether it's Rishi Sunak or not, presumably. Well,
This is just such a ridiculous situation we're in. And this is going to be looked back in the history books as well, when a Conservative Prime Minister won by default because no one ran against him.
Well, I'm quite sure there are instances like that in political history. I mean, it
Yeah,
could
but
well
not
be.
in modern time. I can't think of any.
No, but I mean, there have been instances in the past, and don't ask me to name one, but where people have stood down to let somebody become, a leader simply because they realise that they were the best person. And it isn't necessarily always ominous that there is, you get in by acclamation. It can be, and in this particular case, I think it most certainly is. My mouth is drying out, Max. Shall we go to the park for a minute or two? Because I can see that the coffee has arrived.
Yes, we will go to the park.
All right.
Here we go. Okay, and welcome
Right,
back.
I'm back. Yes, I'm back. I've got some coffee. My day can start. Can I make another observation before we go on with the papers? This morning, the train to London was half empty. The underground to Hammersmith from Victoria was totally empty, completely empty, and the amount of cars on the road around Hammersmith, which normally it's jammed, not very few at all. I don't know whether it's just today or whether it's the question of the work from home syndrome, but. And I'm able to make a comparison because I've been doing this trip since 2013. And it's very odd indeed.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really like working from home either, to be honest. I get distracted quite easily, but have you ever done the working from home?
Well, I mean, I suppose I do to some extent. Yes, but I don't like it. I don't like. I mean, at one summer, where I was working evenings, and I would go down to the Notts Garden in exactly the park that we've just been in a moment ago, South Over Grange, and it's wonderful working down there. I had really a good time. It's a walled garden, so it's a windbreak. It catches the sun very nicely. Most people don't know about it, so it's very, very quiet. And that working from home worked very well for me. But actually, in my own home, no. I'm like everybody else. I get distracted by things, and also people, family or whatever, they forget that you're working, and they ask you to do things that you normally would do on the day off. So
Yeah.
it's not to me.
In
It's not
my
a good.
house, yeah, in my house at least, there's always something going on. So there's always something to be distracted by.
Lewis, an architect here who went off to live in France, but he actually constructed a little garden shed and turned it into almost as if it was an office in a building somewhere else. It worked for him. He would go and he would shut the door, and that was it. If you wanted to get into his shed, you went by appointment. Some people make it work. Generally speaking, it's my belief that these long queues, you are 26th in the queue, and we'll get to you. Your call is important to us. It's because people are working from home. They really are. They're not anywhere near as swift as they would be in the office.
Mm.
So you've got this log jam with almost every company that I know.
Well, it makes sense to do the like cold calling from home or customer service line. I phoned up Santander during lockdown because I lost my card and was like, "Oh, could I have a new card or whatever over the phone?" I could hear a baby crying in the background. I was like, and that's the sort of thing. You get distracted.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Very much so. There isn't the atmosphere that sort of an office or a studio generates anyway. It's
you're right.
talking to colleagues and so on, even where we are. I mean, as you and I and Stuart and Liza, all in there, and we talk to one another. The hotel staff are terrific in talking to us. There's a lovely atmosphere, much better than sitting in a back room, no matter how good the software is to bring this to people.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll move on to the next headline. This is the Daily Telegraph. Rishi Sunak set to become PM as Johnson pulls out. And yeah, I have no doubt that Rishi Sunak will be the next Prime Minister.
It looks like
No
it.
doubt about that.
Mind you, as they say, a day in politics is a long time. I mean,
yes,
it could be
what?
A rush from Morden's point.
You said that to me last week. I said, maybe Liz Truss, maybe she'll make it to Christmas. I don't think she'll make it to a full term. And then the next day she resigned. But anyway, that day we were talking before she resigned, you said, a week is a long time in politics. And boy, is it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I suppose that's a true saying and whatnot. And then she resigns. I'm like, well, no, I don't know what the hell's happening now.
Well, I suppose we're not supposed to use these idioms, but the American expression, it's not over until the fat lady sings, is very true. And, right up until the last
What
minute.
does that mean?
It's an operatic term, apparently, is that lady singers tend to be rather hefty. And it was she always ended the opera. I mean, that's my broad understanding of the phrase. Once again, it's one of those things that is everybody. Oh God, how can you say that? It's like being anti-Catholic. It's not. It comes from an operatic term. But there's always people who will turn something into or nothing into something, and I mean, exactly your reaction. But if you know about it or you think about it, it's quite sensible. Quite a
I
colourful
just never
way of
heard the
saying.
saying before.
Hmm?
I'd never heard that saying before.
Fairly common.
Hmm.
Fairly
All right.
common.
Well, the text below the Daily Mail. Rishi Sunak is set to become the Prime Minister. The Daily Telegraph reports. A campaign source of Penny Mordaunt told the paper that she would fight to the leadership race, saying it's looking good. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt endorsed Sunak. The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt endorsed Rishi Sunak in a piece in the Telegraph, comparing him to Winston Churchill in his willingness to speak the truth.
That's Jeremy. Mealy mouthed bugger.
Honestly,
It is.
don't like.
I'm sorry, they don't know what they don't know. You know, I have no idea how they put themselves up as these colourful but stupid people.
Do we know who Rishi's going to pick as the Chancellor of Exchequer?
Difficult to oust a man who's just said how wonderful you are, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Did I mention to you last week about? Yeah, I did mention to you that
I'm afraid you froze there, so I didn't hear a word you said. Hmm. Max, I think that I don't know whether you can hear me, but I think you've got some fixing to do. It is 12 minutes past 9. Oh, you've disappeared and I haven't. So I'm going to disappear as well, and you can start over.
Hello. Okay, I am back. I don't know what happened there, but our Wi-Fi device has. Oh, sorry, let me turn that down. Our Wi-Fi device has seemed to have cut out, and we're back on the hotel Wi-Fi. So the signal's not great. I'm going to go to a clip because this is not working. So give me a moment whilst I try to fix this. All right, here we go. We'll go to scenes in Sussex. Okay, there we go. Back. We're back. We're running again. So I don't know what that was about.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah, the audio is all right, as you can hear. Sorry about that. I don't know where Keith went. He seems to have disappeared. He still has the link, so he can join back at any minute. I guess we should continue through BBC Papers. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, here we go. Sinak, this is from the Independent, sorry, from the Eye. Sinak favourite for number 10 after Tory MPs force Johnson to quit. I'm not sure about that headline. I haven't seen anywhere else that he's been forced to quit. But that's what the Independent is saying. From the Times, Sinak is set for number 10 as Johnson quits the race. So I am annoyed. I'm upset. I hope to have seen Boris Johnson come back. I'll be honest, it would have been funny. It would have been very good. And every single Conservative voter I know personally, and I know quite a few, have all said bring Boris back. All of them. So I think that's a pretty good sample size of the population. Every single Conservative voter I know, and I live here in the south of England, so I know quite a few. From the Daily Mail, we have the Daily Mail here. It says Rishi set for number 10 as Boris bows out. Sorry, let me repeat that. Rishi set for number 10 as Boris bows out. I was covering the newspaper. I was covering my mouth with the newspaper. I shouldn't have been doing that. So that's from the Daily Mail. From the Metro, Boris has bottled it. And a very unflattering photo from the Metro here of Boris Johnson. The two people in the race are Penny Mordaunt and Rishi Sunak. And Penny Mordaunt doesn't even have 100 nominees of backbencher MPs. Rishi seems like he will win by default, as the deadline is today at 3 p.m. I believe, or 1 p.m. between then. So by the end of today, we will know possibly who will be the next prime minister. We already know it's going to be Rishi Sunak. There's no doubt about it in my mind, unless he all of a sudden drops out the race. But I don't believe that he will make it either as the prime minister. I don't think he'll make it till the end of the term. I think if he does quit, we definitely need to have a general election. I'd already said this. I do think we should have had one instead of the Conservative Party nominating a new PM. I don't think that's a very good system. But it is what it is. And it's going ahead, but the next one should be a general election when Rishi Sunak inevitably quits before the next general election, which should be in about 15 to 16 months' time. So that's from the Metro. From the Sun, Bojo is a no. Boris steps aside to avoid chaos. That's the Sun's headline today, and it's a pretty accurate headline, I will admit. The Sun usually don't have too accurate headlines, but they do today. And the last one here, from the Daily Star, the Sphinx, it's all over, and it has a picture of the Sphinx. And that's the joke. Swap cold for months in Egypt. And say, what are they talking about? The Daily Star is going on about a bunch of nonsense as usual. But yeah, that's all the headlines for today. I will play a clip. We have Sarah Fitch Hayes' art show now. I will play this out. Not fully, but we'll play the first 10 minutes whilst I try to fix some technical difficulties we're having, and then we'll be back to the headlines, or behind the papers, actually, for the second segment. So here we go.
You can just possibly prize away from Sarah one of her very favourite paintings. They are paintings, wouldn't you guess, because we've talked about banana splits, and we've talked about those things with onions in them. What are they called? Hot dogs. And now we are talking about the real infrastructure of New York. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes, I tried to get hold of one of your paintings. I said, "That's a very nice painting," and you slapped my fingers so hard. And then you told me that you wouldn't sell it even £1. Mind you, you did say 1,000,000+1.
I think it was just over. It was a penny over. Yeah.
Now, quite often we use American icons for your paintings.
Right.
Why are you so fond of American icons?
I love all icons.
Ah,
Global. Anything icon.
you're not discriminatory.
Oh no, don't discriminate, darling.
Well, we got cakes from a we're desperate to get over there to get hot dogs. But can you show us, first of all, what we're talking about, so that I can explain to people, or you can explain to people? I will ask questions. Why it is that they're so precious to you?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, I was going to bring the bubble gum today, but because the paint was still wet and you haven't got this hot weather, it took a long time to dry, so I couldn't bring that along. So
well, you've got a delight in the making, yeah.
Absolutely. I remember I had an interview with it last week with you guys, and I talked about how can you recognise this building here?
When you say here,
The shadow?
oh, the shadow. Yes, that's right. Yes, that's the Empire State, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
So I did this series back in 2006, and I went to New York, and I came back with stacks and stacks of photographs, and that was one of them. And when I actually got the photos home, I looked at it and thought, oh my goodness, the shadow of the Empire State Building. It's fantastic. I'm going to be painting that.
That's a lovely angle, if I can use that expression with an artist.
You can. Are you ready for the next?
Yes, we are. We're ready for the next.
Well, this is a night scene. You know, I said about this as well. Do you remember I spoke about these little chaps?
Oh, yes.
Very iconic, very American.
That's right. Please walk and don't walk. I mean, of course, when you actually took those or painted those, is in this country we didn't know much about them. Now, of course, we've got those sort of things, but then they were very, very unique to absolutely.
America, absolutely. So there we are. That's nighttime scene. We got the light just shining through and glowing, and this is the hand. The hand is a stop. That's that there. So that's all Coca-Cola bottles. Look, I had to get Coca-Cola. Absolutely. And Manhattan is just coming. So this is funny. It has.
There's the icon again. Yes.
Do you want to show that to this camera?
Okay. So.
Now, is that Chinatown, Times Square? Where is it?
It's Manhattan, Times Square.
Right, it's Times Square. Yeah.
It is.
I mentioned the Chinese because one of the areas in Manhattan is Chinatown, and
that's right,
it's fascinating seeing all those as Chinese together. That because that painting, that lady looks as if she's Chinese, I thought that must be where you were.
It probably looks like it. It's funny because I'm talking about that painting. I didn't want to make too much of a face on her. I kept her quite bland because I had all the stuff going on in the background.
Yes.
So the idea was for your eye to zoom up here compositionally and follow it all around there where all the light and the life is. And I thought if I was heavy on the face, I think that might have been quite a distraction. So
yes, indeed. It is a distraction, actually. I mean, strangely enough, it's one of the things that your eye is drawn to the moment you look at that painting.
Absolutely, your eyes follow it up, don't they? So I decided to drop her face a bit, just to give that composition. This is the other little one. This is at Brooklyn. The buildings are more rustic.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello. Sorry, we have had some. We were having some rough technical difficulties today.
Oh, again? Oh no.
Can you hear me at least? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. As long as you can hear me, that's all good. We've yes been having technical difficulties all this week. It's been rough. We're using this. We have a mobile Wi-Fi router,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't like to work.
That's not good.
No, it's not. So we're on the hotel's Wi-Fi now here at the White Hart, which isn't the best. But anyway, we're here. I'm so sorry about last week, and you weren't able to come on.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. No.
Well,
Today I'm
up in
actually in
London.
Vancouver.
Huh?
I'm in
Pardon?
Vancouver right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
What are you doing in Vancouver?
For work, we have a campus out here, so it's 1:30 in the morning here. I know, it's
Oh,
like
my
I'm in a
goodness.
different time zone every time. It's very funny.
Wow. How was your time in Italy?
It was just sensational. Italy was just amazing. Every minute was amazing. So I had a great time.
Good.
I
Well,
was in
you're
Venice.
coming
I
to
was
the
in
UK.
Verona. What?
Aren't you coming to the UK soon?
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can. Yeah, I don't have any exact plans right now, but I hope so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry if there's a little bit of a delay because of how far apart we are, obviously. So we'll butt into each other's conversations by accident every so often. So sorry about that.
Is Keith still teaching?
He is. Yes, he's in London today. So I'm using my laptop, hence the technical difficulties. His laptop is a lot better than mine. His is a lot newer, a lot better. This laptop, well, I'm not complaining. I got this for free. Need to clear it, like completely wipe it. There's a lot of old Mirador television clips on it and shows, so I can't just delete them. I need to buy a bunch of storage USBs and clear everything so this can speed up a little bit because it's taking up a lot of space on the drive.
Sure. Yeah, which slows everything down, right? Yeah.
Yes. But this
great.
doesn't. I mean, this has been good in the past, but I don't know why it keeps not working.
Yeah. I mean, those things are hard to explain.
Yes, well, I'm not great with technology either, so that's not helpful. So, are you staying at the campus right now?
No, I'm at a hotel. Actually, I'm actually in an area in Vancouver that are right by where all the seaplanes take off. So it's a
Oh,
cool
wow.
location. So I get to watch them. Yeah, I'm right on the water. So it's nice to stay here because in the morning you can wake up really early and have a great, terrific walk down by the waterside, and then kind of start your day that way. So,
Wow,
but our
that's nice.
campus is about 10 minutes from here, so a 10-minute drive. So it's not really walkable from here, but it's
Well, I've
beautiful.
already been on the seafront today as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What did you do this morning already?
Yeah, I was there this morning. Yeah, well, my bus stops right at the seafront in Brighton, and then I have to get a
Oh,
connecting bus to Lewis. So whilst I wait for the bus, if there's a long gap, I sit on the seafront. I
wow,
sit on the
nice.
beach and wait for the bus.
Yeah, Brighton's
So
beautiful.
it's a nice location.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
like one of
you've
the
been to
few
Brighton,
places.
haven't you?
I have. I've been to Brighton. I went to a meeting in Brighton and hung out in Brighton for a day. So it's a beautiful place.
Yes. It's nice, but there's when did you last go?
Well, it was 4 years, I think. 2018. Yeah, 2018.
Well, before the pandemic, then yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
There's I've been going to Brighton since I was a toddler. I love Brighton, but it's certainly gone downhill in the past couple of years.
Oh, that's too bad.
Sorry, let me
Yeah.
just close this curtain. The light on the courthouse shines directly onto me from across
Uh-huh.
the street because the sun's
Okay.
shining off of it. So
Okay.
give me a second.
All
Sorry.
right. No problem.
There we go. A lot better.
Terrific.
But yeah, unfortunately, Brighton has gone downhill a little bit. It's not what it used to be. There's a lot more homeless people than there were
Mm.
as well.
Mm.
A lot more crime. But one of the interesting things about Brighton is a lot of the homeless people from up north are given bus tickets or train tickets and get down south to Brighton because it's the most southern part of the country, or one of. So they think it's very warm there when it isn't. So
No.
all the homeless people go down to Brighton because they think it's warmer. So that's why there's such a high homeless population.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, New York has a real homeless problem for sure. And
Yeah,
I just arrived in Vancouver yesterday, Sunday, and I drove to the campus, and the cab driver drove me through an area that I just hadn't even known existed in Vancouver. I mean, it was, streets and streets and streets of like a tent city. People just living on the street in tents, but I mean like blocks and blocks and blocks of it, and people
really.
doing drugs. Yeah, it was just this one road in Vancouver that I was just really, I mean, it made me sad, I mean, it just, I wish we could figure this out, and every city in the world, it seems, is having this kind of trouble. So, um,
Yeah, well, the city of London has a big homeless issue, and they're given like hundreds of millions. They're given like 700 million to deal with the homeless problem, but that money never seems to go anywhere.
yeah,
I
you
don't know where
never
that
see
money goes.
yeah, you never see the results. I think that it's such a multi-pronged issue that if you're not going at all aspects of the homeless problem, like mental illness, like needing an actual home, like needing a job,
Yeah,
um, needing the social services, if you don't do all of those, it's like it's just all just helping, but with no resolution. So because nobody wants to be in a place that's not safe. And a lot of people, from what I understand, a lot of homeless people feel safer on the streets than they do in some of these homeless shelters. So, but
I recently had a conversation with one of the homeless people in Brighton because whenever they ask for money, I don't give them money. But if they come up to me and just say, "Can I have some food?" Yes, I'll go to the local shop and get something. and I did that for one of them, and I was having a conversation to one about how long he's been homeless and all that, and he was saying his business shut down due to the pandemic. He wasn't given enough government support, lost the business, lost his house, his
Oh
flat,
no.
couldn't pay rent, ended up homeless. He was in Liverpool at the time, and then was given a ticket to come down south to Brighton. By who, I don't know. But he was saying that you have to pay to stay in a homeless shelter, which I was surprised to find out.
Mhm.
It's £13 a night to stay in a homeless shelter.
I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that about Europe. I don't think that that's true about in New York, but
£13 a night. That's a lot when you have nothing.
yeah, when you have nothing, yeah, you're gonna save your 13 pounds to get
Yeah,
a bite to eat,
and
right?
it
Yeah.
really made me think. I was like, damn, I never give homeless people any money because I just always assume, no, they're gonna spend it on drugs. I'm not doing it. I'll buy them food instead. Happily, I'll do that. But then really thinking about it, how many of them are asking for drugs? I'm sure a lot. But how many are asking for money to stay in a shelter?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
they
No,
probably
it's
don't even make £13 in a week
yeah,
begging on the street.
yeah, yeah. Really tough problem.
Yeah.
But
How long have you lived in New York?
I'm born and raised in Manhattan, so I grew up there. So
Have you seen the homelessness problem go like skyrocketing?
I mean, it ebbs and flows, through the years. I would say that when I was really young, when I first started living there, maybe was worse than it is now, but it's definitely going back to that kind of scenario, which included lots of drugs, unfortunately, a lot of violence on the streets too. But I was encouraged this past weekend. I mean, the city was packed with people. So tourism is back up. People are really going to Broadway and going shopping. And they just opened FAO Schwartz in Rockefeller Center. They do that every season. So people are going shopping for Christmas shopping and stuff. So, and St. Patrick was really crowded. It's such a beautiful cathedral in the city. And that was really, so I'm encouraged that people are coming back. And once there's more people, then it's more jobs, then people are able to start working again. I mean, but unemployment is quite low, so it's not completely about
Yeah,
jobs.
unemployment here is very low as well,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah.
strange.
Well, they're underemployed, and then the really good jobs that are out there, they're not qualified for. So a lot of it needs, a lot of us need job training in order to get the right jobs, and so that has to be a big effort too in this new world, in this new technology world. If you want to be relevant, you need to, in order to be gainfully employed, you definitely need to know how to work on a computer. So, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's just there's just so many. There's not a single one issue that can solve anything, right? It's always multi-pronged. So, but
yeah.
um, but Venice was beautiful. I visited with a bunch of friends. One of my friends rented a huge, what looked to be like a pirate ship, like a Union Jack kind of ship, and we all got on the boat. There was like 100 of us, and we took this boat down the Grand Canal and really saw Venice from a different perspective. And we also went to Murano and Burano. I've been to Venice quite a few times, but this is the first time where I went to like the more touristy islands, and it was fun. I had a great time, and then just wandered around the city and did a couple of drawings and took a lot of photographs. So it was a fantastic time. So
Yeah, wow, that sounds great. I've never even left this country. I've never
oh,
left.
you have to. You have
I've never
to.
even been to Scotland or Wales or Ireland. Never even been to the other countries in the United Kingdom.
Well, you have to put that on your list. I loved Ireland. Ireland was one of my favorite places too. Such a pretty place. But
Yeah,
you'll have to figure out. You'll have to do your whole itinerary and do shows from your different locations.
yeah, that would be great. I mean, I've lived in the county I've lived in all my life, West Sussex. I've never not. I was born in Surrey because I lived on the border when I was born. I was born in Surrey Hospital. One of them, I can't remember which one. But I've lived in West Sussex all my life. I've never lived outside of it. So
Yeah, how far is West Sussex from London?
last time I checked, it was a 36-minute train journey.
Oh, well, that's not
No,
too
sorry,
bad.
56. 56.
Oh,
It's
56.
just under
Okay,
an
yeah.
hour. Just under an hour.
Okay. All right.
I'm actually going to London the beginning of next month. Not sure when, but it's going to be the first time I've been since the pandemic.
Oh,
Um,
we get to see it.
yeah, I, I, I'm just going up there to go to the museums and stuff for a day trip.
Complete
and
fun.
yeah, but I haven't been since before the pandemic, and even last time I didn't really enjoy London. I just don't enjoy big cities in general, but it's a special occasion once a year.
Yeah, I know.
That's
And the
enough.
British Museum and the Natural History Museum and
Yeah.
gosh, what else? The Tate Modern. That's a great museum. There's such
Yeah,
great
that's where I'm going.
museums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, terrific. Oh, have fun. Got to tell
Well,
us all about it.
yeah, well, they recently had some Just Stop Oil protesters throwing soup over paintings or whatnot.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Yeah.
They keep doing that. They are getting on the general public's nerves. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen that. What's the general public thinking about that? What in America?
About the
People just ruining paintings from
oh
30.
yeah. I don't know that they think it's a real serious issue just yet. There's always been somebody doing that, you know. But I mean the Mona Lisa, that was a crazy thing. Of course, the Mona Lisa is under like lock and key and multiple pieces of glass,
Bulletproof
but
glass, yeah.
yeah.
But it's
I don't know,
becoming
somebody
very
was just,
popular.
I'm sorry?
It's becoming really common here in Europe for people to just ruin paintings because of climate change. It's just getting on everyone's nerves now.
Well, it seems like kind of antithetical to an effort about climate change, you know. I mean, one of the amazing things that we have as a civilization is beautiful art that kind of expresses ourselves, and we should be using art to stop climate change. We shouldn't be defacing art to talk about climate change. But
Yeah.
the answer is in creativity, creative thought, and all of us working together. That's where the answer is. So.
Yeah, I mean, even people I know who don't support, even people I know who don't believe in climate change or do believe in it, all of them are saying, just stop with the defacing artwork. Just
Right.
honestly, it's getting
Yeah.
ridiculous at this point. Everyone's sick of it, but from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not the right way. I mean, violence and ruining things is never the way to kind of support an argument. But at the same time, if at least they're trying to get their mission out there or their mission to be seen, maybe they feel that's the only way they can do it. But I don't know. I think I don't know that there's really any way to deny that things are happening related to the climate at this point. So I think we just have to just figure out, use all of our creativity that the world has to figure it out. You know, if you're a low-lying city, we have to fund seawalls and just start them, just start building them. And I mean, it's just the way it is, you know. Wouldn't be the first time. I mean, you know, throughout history, we've had to build seawalls to protect cities, and not even just because of ocean levels, because of river levels. And so, I mean, I actually think it stems from a lot of people wanting to ignore needing to invest in infrastructure. You know, that's another real problem that we have as a society. We build something, but then we don't understand that we have to keep it up. It's like it's that $1 billion job where you built a bridge. It's like that bridge has a lot of upkeep throughout its lifetime, you know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely part of it, you know.
Well, me and Stuart I think you've spoken to Stuart
Yeah,
Dolby before.
yeah.
We have a show on a Wednesday, and we argue endlessly about all these sorts of things. We agree on nothing. And one of my points that I constantly make is the alarmism about climate change. I don't quite understand it. Everybody seems to think the world is going to end due to it. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think people seem to forget about innovation, about new technology, what we can do to stop it. Everyone's just assuming the world is going to end because of climate change. It's not. It's going to get bad before it gets better. That's for sure. I agree with that. But it's not going to be some world-ending event. It's such an alarmism, and I hear from people my own age saying, "Oh, I won't have kids because of climate change," and I just feel that that's a ridiculous argument to make. I know so many people who are saying that I won't bring my kids into this world because of climate change.
Oh, that's very sad.
And it is. Well, most people my age don't want kids. I'm one of the only ones who do. I want to have a family and have a bunch of kids and live rurally in somewhere like Suffolk, have a nice country farm and have a bunch of kids, and that's what I want. But no one my age wants that for some reason.
Well, it sounds very nice. I hope that you have exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, I want a nice, quiet, peaceful life.
Very nice. Well, I do think that in order for the other problem with humanity is that until it's really a problem that you can't ignore, you won't face it. So, what's been happening. I mean, Hurricane Ian is a perfect example. There was some missteps with kind of the notification of it and getting people out in time. And unfortunately, we had a lot of loss of life with that hurricane, which shouldn't have happened. It's like 70 people, 75 people or something. And billions of dollars worth of damage because people just were not prepared for it. But even leaving all of that aside, I mean, it was one of those storms that, we always used to have, well, not always, but whenever we'd have a big hurricane, it was more the wind that was doing the damage than the water when the surge. But it's really now, it's always the storm surge. It's always the amount of flooding that's making it into these buildings and into the cities and into the towns. So, but if that's the case, then you can, don't only build, hurricane proof windows and doors. Now you need to build seawalls, and particularly for the lower lying. But, none of that costs, it's all really extraordinary sums of money to solve it. But I mean, Hurricane Ian is costing billions of dollars. So we have to figure it out. I mean, Hurricane Ida cost millions and billions of dollars. Every summer there's been something that's really catastrophic. So.
Yeah. Well, as you're an architect, why are the buildings made so unstable? Why are they not made out of bricks like we have here? A lot of the buildings seem to be, especially in the more poorer areas, it just seems to be blown away every single time there's a hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, the southern states in the United States, I mean, they're really warm climates. And so a lot of different building types actually can survive the day-to-day, just not the catastrophic kind of storms. And so mobile homes are a way for people to own their own home on a budget. And so that's why there's so many of them in a lot of these areas where these storms have become so prevalent. There's a lot of kind of requirements around what are the requirements of not mobile homes, but stationary homes. And so those do definitely have stone or concrete block foundations. The other thing that's being started is that you have to be a certain height above sea level. So that will help to make changes too. But it's really because they're one of the least expensive kind of building types to be able to own and to call your own home. I mean, we started the conversation with trying to end homelessness. The way is to give homes that you can afford. Unfortunately, in areas like that, those homes can't survive the major storms. But even in the
Well, yeah,
even the homes, yeah.
Sorry, no, carry on.
No, I was going to say, even the homes that are built properly, they're still flooded, and you still have issues that you have to deal with. The windows still need to be replaced. You need to flood cut all of the walls, which is a ton of work afterwards, hoping that mold didn't affect the sheetrock or whatever. And then if you wait too long, then the studs get rusted, and so you have to rebuild the wall entirely. I mean, it's just, there's really no good answer necessarily, or any one building type that will survive a major storm. So, but
Right. Well, I was going to say that Japan, they have specifically built buildings, like designed them around earthquakes, knowing that Japan has earthquakes every year. It's a natural thing that happens in Japan every year, has done for hundreds of years. So they build the buildings knowing that there's going to be an earthquake at some point. I don't understand why. Well, you've just explained why, but I didn't quite understand why Florida doesn't do the same thing. Design houses around the fact that there are going to be hurricanes, which are a yearly occurrence and have been for a long time.
yeah, I know, you always wait for that year where you're not going to have the horrible hurricane. It's true. Yeah. And and then you
Yeah,
design to a
that's what
certain
people
level.
around here are confused by.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But
keep
no,
interrupting.
it's
It's a
okay.
delay.
No, I mean, and then even in Japan and in Tokyo, they've designed to a certain level of earthquake, and just like in Florida, they've designed to a certain level of a hurricane.
Yeah.
In New York, you design to a certain level of fireproofing, and we could never have survived the attack on 9/11. No fireproofing in the world could survive jet fighters with fuel. So there's, you design to a certain level. That's you can't meet all of the needs, when you're doing these things. But we'll figure it out, as you say, Max. It's exactly right. Creativity, innovation, human thought, collaboration, relying on one another. When we start realizing how much we're all connected, that's when we'll start having the best solutions. So,
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned 9/11. Were you in New York at the time?
I was in New York at the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't born then, but yeah. Is that still an extremely sensitive subject to talk about 9/11 in New York?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, if you experienced it, or even if you weren't here, even if you were watching it from a neighboring town, or I actually, when I was in Italy, I was talking to some friends in Italy, and they were talking about what it was like for them to be watching it, from Venice, and it's just, it was just one of those things. Nobody could believe it was happening. But New York was definitely, it was just one more example of New York, being very resilient, working together as a team, everyone helping everybody else. It was just an extraordinary acts of human kindness and collaboration and problem solving. But it still continues to be something that's imprinted in all of our brains, that how tragic it was, and it's still very difficult to go down there, and
There's I won't talk about it too much, but there's a lot of theories online about 9/11. Is that a very still sensitive to talk about to New Yorkers? About
well,
what
I
really
mean,
happened that day, or what people think may have happened, or who
I
was
think
really
we know
behind it?
exactly. Yeah, we know exactly what happened. I mean, there's tons of conspiracy theories, but I mean, we know exactly what happened, and unfortunately, I mean, the crisis of imagination. We talk about creativity. The reason that happened is because nobody could have imagined that somebody would actually do something like that, and that's why we weren't prepared for it. And the reality is that there's going to be another attack in another incredible way that no one could have imagined. And because the reality is that there are a lot of people who are against freedom and against a free way of life, and anyone who's trying to pursue it is always going to have to uh, continue to fight for it. So
Yeah. Well, here we've never had that large event that's happened like you've had in New York. We've had big events, but nothing to the scale of 9/11. I mean, we've had like the bus bombings in London, the tube bombings. We had the London Bridge attack where a guy just got in his car and drove it onto the pavement and just killed a whole bunch of people.
it's horrible. Horrible.
I know. If there's a way, these people if there is a way to kill people, these people will find a way. It's horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about guns in this country a lot being banned, because they are. If you use guns, obviously you get a huge prison sentence. But if you use knives, you get less of a prison sentence. And then what was common around, I'd say 2018, was acid attacks, because that gave less of a prison sentence. They will always find a way to damage the most amount of people with the shortest time spent in prison. People are evil, and it's horrible. But I don't think... it's just, some people are just awful people.
Yeah, some people are just awful people, and they're misguided, and they think they're unfortunately trying to do one thing, and it doesn't. The line of reasoning isn't consistent at all. So, but I do.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry, well, I
No, you go
witnessed
ahead.
one actually.
Oh,
I witnessed
you
one of
did?
these attacks. Yeah, I witnessed. When was it? Last month, the beginning of last month, 6 weeks ago. I witnessed a machete attack at West Worthing train station,
Oh my God, that's horrible.
and the two victims were both children, and the attacker was also a child. I'd say child. They were probably about 15 years old, a bit younger than me, 15, 16. I was unfortunately the only witness. It was quite late at night. Weirdly, I just got off the phone to Keith, and then I got to the train station, and then I witnessed that. Luckily, I was on the other side of the platform, but nothing happened with the police. I mean, they contacted me, they took my statement, they checked the CCTV, but because there were no staff there, it's a small train station. There were no other witnesses. It was too dark, so you couldn't pick up facial features on the camera. And the people who were attacked would not cooperate with the police. So clearly it was some sort of gang attack, which is unfortunately common.
Yeah.
And I've lived in a small rural village all my life, so I'd never seen anything like it. And no one died. So, and the fact that they didn't cooperate with the police, that's their problem, not mine. They're part of some gang. I can't do anything about
That's
it.
a very shocking
Yeah.
thing to see. I'm sorry that you had to see that.
No, it's all right. I had never seen a machete before that, and I didn't realize how big they were. They're like over a foot long, the blade. It was terrifying. I ran across the street to the kebab shop, almost like had an issue. Explained, they let me in the back room, and one of the customers was picking up food for his family. He was like, "Look, my daughter's in the car, but if you come in the car with me, I'll drop you off wherever you want." He seemed like a trustworthy guy. He had a kid with him, so I said yes, and he dropped me off. And I phoned my mum because I was not about to go back to the train station.
No, you're like, Mom, you got to pick me up today. This is not going to work today. Yeah.
I thought Worthing was a lovely place. It's a seaside town. It's, I think, 7 miles from Brighton. And yeah, I was just very shocked to see that.
Yeah.
Nothing came of it.
Well, I mean, one thing I will say is the pandemic, as we kind of limped through our dealing with the pandemic, I do think there's still a lot of people hurting. There's still a lot of people who haven't, figured out what the next steps are. And, I mean, not having a job where you can pay to support your family and your friends, that is really where a lot of this stems from. And, the power of having a job where you can support yourself is something we just can't underestimate. You shouldn't have to have 4 jobs, in order to make ends meet and save money, and people are underpaid, they're undervalued, overworked, and somehow there's going to be a way of making sure there's still a free market, still a capital market, and people are being paid properly for the work that they're doing. And
Yeah.
it's
I mean, my mum has 2 jobs now. She
Yeah.
has one job at a college, caring for a specific student, and she has a second job as a carer. She takes care of people. She goes to people's homes, helps them get out of bed, take their medication, lunch. If they're really unable to do anything for themselves, she helps get them washed and dressed, all that sort of thing. So she goes to different people's houses. She'll usually have about 10 calls in a day, and that's her second job. Well, that's her main job. Well, both take up the same amount of time, really.
So that's very important work. I mean, thanks to your mother, there's some people being taken care of who need help, and but I'm sure that she could be paid more for that role. She's probably not paid enough, and so she has to have 2 jobs. And I mean, in the United States,
Well,
I'm sure
we
you
also live in
Yeah.
we're also in a single parent household as well.
Yeah.
And my mum has to deal with 3 teenage boys. I've got a foster brother as well. So it's me, 18, my foster brother 17, and my younger brother 16. So all teenage boys in a single parent household. She has to deal with that. So I do feel bad for her a little bit.
God bless your mom. Your mom's like, but the great thing about boys is that they're definitely a handful, but boy, there's nothing like having a son who helps you and contributes to kind of your joy in life. There's nothing like it. But
We've all got jobs now, so we're all paying rent.
Oh,
So
good. That's wonderful.
money.
Yeah. Finger. That's nice. Well, there's in December of 2020, all of the job loss in the United States was borne by women. All of it in December of 2020. Yeah. Yes. You can look it up. And so when at my university, being sort of inspired by that, or, having it be a call to action, we developed a course that was specifically designed for single mothers and caretakers who were underemployed or who had lost their employment, and train them in Python programming. And so it's a 6-week course. You take the 6-week course, you learn the basics of Python programming, and then our university would help people get into training programs into larger companies, So take this time where you don't have a job, and learn a new skill, and then get yourself, a leg up into the world. And it was just such a really, worthwhile, incredibly successful course. And then eventually banks started to fund it entirely, so no one had to pay for the course. It was a full scholarship course, and people were really doing very well with it.
Could you explain to me again what you said about the job loss? I'm a little bit taken aback by that. Could you repeat
December
that?
of 2020. Yeah, all of the job loss in the United States in December of 2020 was borne by women.
Wow.
I mean, it's not that unusual during a pandemic, because, as you know, all of the kids had to stay home, right? Because they weren't going to school. And so somebody had to stay home with them. And so typically, if you are in a 2-parent household, The male is making more money than the woman, typically, not always, but typically. And so if you had to make a decision who's staying home with the 4 kids, it was often the women. And then, of course, the women typically in the United States are underpaid and underworked in a sense, meaning that they need to have 4 jobs to make ends meet. Those 4 jobs tend to be the types of jobs that will immediately lay you off if there's a financial, challenge. So that's what was happening. It was a combination of women not being able to keep the multiple jobs because they had so many other competing needs at home. And then also, having the types of jobs that were really suffering from layoffs during the pandemic. So, the pandemic was still pretty active at the end of 2020, for sure. So, I mean, the vaccines just started coming out, right? So, yeah, it was quite a striking sort of statistic that. But, there are solutions, it's not like, taking that opportunity, because the reality is that people, even though unemployment is low, they're underemployed. They're underemployed either financially or against their skill level. And they just need the new skills in order to get the leg up. So, and that's true around the world. The entire world needs to start investing in their workforces. And so I think people are starting to realize that and getting the people the training that they need. So there's a lot to do. The great thing is that there's a lot to do and there's a lot that can be done. It's not hopeless. It's just a time of change. And every few years, every few decades, there's a major transformation. You just got to be ready for it. You got to ride the wave.
Yeah. Well, luckily, we were all old enough to be left at home alone and mum to still work. But I do have some younger siblings. My younger sister, she was just turned 6 at the time of the pandemic. And I can see how much shutting the schools down has really affected her learning.
Yeah.
Obviously, her mum, my stepmom, taught her throughout the pandemic and helped her with her schoolwork, but it's just not the same as being taught by actual teachers, and she lost out big time because of it.
Yeah.
And she was just at that age where it's the most important time to be in school.
Yeah.
It's a real shame. There was a lot of issues during the pandemic, which in hindsight we should have been like, oh, we could have done this and we should have done that. But yeah, we will have historical records for next time of don't do this.
I think so. I do think that's true. However, I also know that human intellect is not something that is not something that can't be developed off of a schedule. So we develop our curriculums based on standard accepted policies, but look, there are plenty of times when kids are sick and can't go to school and need 6 months, a year off. And it's not as if they can't learn what they missed. Is it as easy because it's, off schedule or in a different kind of sequence? No, it's difficult, but it's still possible. It's still just another one of those hurdles that they're going to overcome. And they'll be able to tell their kids. My son keeps on saying, I'll tell my kids I grew up in like the worst time, it's like, okay, Cyril, you do that. It's
How old are your children? You got
so I
3,
have
haven't
3.
you?
Yeah. So my oldest just started college. So she just turned 18. And then my son is 16 and he's a junior in high school. And then my youngest is 12 and she's in 7th grade. And so
2 girls and a boy then.
2 girls and a boy. My son's in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was a middle
big
child for a
basketball
little bit as well.
I'm sorry?
I was a middle child as well for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got a few more siblings. I'm one of 10 actually, but my mum only had Yeah, it is. Family gatherings were always fun, but my mum only had 3 children. My dad had a few others, and some of them I've not met, and some of them I've only met once or twice, which is a shame. It really is.
Yeah.
But one day when they turn 18, I'll be like, "Hey, by the way, I'm related to you," so that'll be weird.
Yeah, you know. Well, you're very resilient, Max. You're gonna make it all work, right? You're gonna
Yes.
whenever you
Well,
have something unique, you're able to deal with it. So, but and
yeah.
you know, it's
Well,
never a bad thing to have lots of family.
yeah. I just wish I could see all of them. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wobbled the camera. But I'm the second oldest of 10, and I'm only 18. So my
You're
sister
young.
is 6 years older than me. So it's 6 years gap between me and my sister, and then 18, and then there was a lot of children very quickly.
Wow. Wow. That's a
But yeah, stepbrothers, half siblings, all over the place,
Oh my goodness.
all across the country.
All right. Well, I'm sure there's lots of stories in there that we have to talk about, but I do have to get going because it's like 2:30 in the morning here, 2:15 in the morning. So I
Yeah,
have to
go to bed.
But I'm so glad I was able to connect, and next week I will be in New York, so it'll be more normal. But and I do
hopefully
owe
Keith will
you.
be here next week as well.
Oh, okay, great. And I will. I have been promising videos and photos. I'm gonna try and do it this week, so maybe we'll have something for Monday, so I can show you some of the trips. So.
Yeah, I can get them up on the screen.
Okay, great. All right. Well, Max, it's so good to see you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.
And
Sorry for last week that I couldn't.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, I woke up very early. I did a lot of meditation last week because I woke up so early.
I woke up early too. I have to get the 5 o'clock bus.
Yeah, that's intense. That's incredible.
Yeah. So I wake up at my alarm is set for 3:40. Then that gives me an hour. So I leave the house at 4:40, and then I get the bus for 5.
Wow.
So
All right. Well,
it's an early start.
you're a good man, Max. You keep it up.
Thank you.
Okay. All
It
right.
was
Take
nice
care.
to
Thank
see
you.
you. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Well, that was a very good show. We've still got 40 minutes left. Sorry, the signal has been so bad. I'm looking at the picture quality here on my phone, and I can see it's not very good. But unfortunately, this EE4G thingy device cut out. Sorry, let me unplug that so it doesn't make that noise again. So this is gone kaput. So I'm not sure what the issue is. That was a very good conversation. We spoke about a lot there with me and Suzanne. And tomorrow, who do we have tomorrow? We have possibly Jane tomorrow and Liza Page. That'll be me and her show tomorrow. We have a very good show. I get along with Liza. It's so well. We get along great. I always like seeing her, and I so enjoy our show we do usually on a Thursday, but it's been changed to a Tuesday for this week because I've taken Thursday and Friday off. It's my birthday coming up, so I will. Yeah, I'm going to be 19, so I will be drinking quite a fair amount with family and friends. So I'm taking the day off. But what are we going to do? We are going to go to Sarah Fitchhage, the rest of Sarah's show, her art show, because we cut it off quite abruptly. Hopefully this continues to play because I'm not sure what's going on with it. But we will play it once I try to get this turned back on. So here we go. We'll be playing for about 10 minutes. So here we go.
it's more, very rustic basically. So that was good fun doing as well.
It's too tall for this camera.
But still very close to the heart. I mean, all the buildings are quite close, even though
Yes.
they're a little older than others.
Yeah, they are. I do remember them being very, very close together.
Yeah. Tell me, you get in Harbour, and I noticed another one. You got in some other Heinz 57 or something of the sort. Do people pay you for that?
For what? For doing these?
Yeah, for getting in the coffee shop or the hot dog
Oh,
store.
they do. If I sell the paintings
Right.
in the shop, then I would get paid for it in
Yeah.
that way. But with this series, I decided I just loved the series so much. I actually, decided to keep these 4 back. But I have painted similar ones which I've sold. So, but I want to keep these ones. But when we get back to New York, I'm going to make them. It's multicultural. It's just got a lot going for it. I love London now. I love all cities as well as I love the country. So I'm yin and yang. It's got to be here, there, and everywhere. If someone's got a bit of character and a bit of life and pizzazz, then it's worth being there and loving it. Definitely.
I must say that New York fascinates me. I've stayed in various parts of it, depending on the mission that I've been on, and I think that it's very true that New York has got as many different parts as London has. As I mean, I walked the length of Manhattan and found Chinatown and Little Italy. And Soho and it's terrific, isn't it? And we tend to think that they don't have just straight up and down buildings. How dull! But in fact, whether you're an artist or whether you're an architect, you find a great deal of pleasure in the makeup of New York.
Oh, I do. When I was actually painting these, I was thinking about all the construction when I was actually painting them. And because Americans, they have the gridlock, they have the grid sort of system, don't they?
Yes,
you
indeed.
You see that over aerial view of those here, how symmetrical it looks. Okay. You can just see how straight they all are.
Yes. Well, it's a straight line city.
But is it the very thin, tall building? What's the name of that? That one's been there for a long time. Flexington building, when it's all squashed and really tall and condensed on the corner.
I'm not interested, to be quite honest with you. We've discovered the Empire State and its shadow.
We'll stick with that then. We won't diverse if you don't wish to.
But I mean, you have explained in previous programs your love of the West Country. Falmouth is it? Yes.
Yes, it is Falmouth, yeah.
And your love of the Middle North west, Blackpool.
I've never been to Blackpool, but I've always wanted to go.
But you've painted some stuff from Blackpool, haven't you?
I would like to get some of my work into the Blackpool Gallery, but I've never painted Blackpool.
Well,
but I just thought my work would fit in there, the ice valleys and the rocks and the sweet.
well, when you have, we'll lie and we'll say you've been going there for years. I actually do remember as a little boy going to Blackpool, just I think for 2 days or something. And the thing that really impressed me was the laughing policeman. That's the one thing that's stuck in my mind. Is he goes, ho 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 ho, etc. Well, I'm sure that the laughing policeman is still there because he was so famous. So that you must paint if you go to.
I'd like to do that. That would be fun.
Right.
Or Punch and Judy.
We're getting a list of things for you to paint.
Punch and Judy? That'd be a good one to draw. Paint.
Mm-hmm.
Punch and Judy?
Oh, Punch and Judy would be another one.
That's
I think that they have that at Blackpool. Certainly, that's iconic for Blackpool. But also the donkeys. You've got to ride on. Yeah. Actually, Blackpool is full of the sort of things that you'd like to paint.
I know, that's why I thought it as a theme. I could see my work being really there in a gallery. Or
yes, and you almost got there.
I'm writing.
The donkey actually was carrying you just faltered at the last.
The donkey's retired back there somewhere in the high street, I think.
Right, let's get down to serious tax here. What have you been doing since we last met?
Well, I've been painting very hard and doing the bubble gum. The bubble gum is pretty much complete now. Right. I went to go and varnish it this morning and the paint is still wet.
So it stays at home.
Watch this space, it will be here next week. And I'm going to go and get myself a canvas and a bottle of Harvey's, and that's the next one to be put on the press. So.
A bottle of Harvey's what?
I don't know, I'm going to find the popular one, I think.
Yeah, right. I mean, they do have one of the things that in our documentary, for instance, is I'm shown in absolute bliss going into their shop and looking at things, but they have a very interesting series of bottles. I mean, forget hard booze, but I think they have things like Bonfire Boy and Firecracker Ale and so on. I think you'll find a whole host of stuff to paint
good
there.
for bonfire night to do one, little postcard series, but
absolutely
for next year that would be.
And can I say that Sarah is going to join us on Bonfire Night as a co-host, and with your two sons, is that right?
One son.
One son, right. One son and husband, right.
So two boys, but
two boys,
one
yes. When you said two boys, you fooled me.
I did, didn't I? Tricked you there.
So that should kick off Bonfire very nicely for us, because we will be covering it from about 6 o'clock until about 10 on and off. We did this last year and it was a very happy time. But I hope that what it will do is give you some ideas too for painting Bonfire, because I don't think you've done much, have you?
Not with Bonfire, have
No. So, I mean, there are some iconic things like the crosses that they carry and so on, which would be very much in your Yeah, I mean, you do like symmetrical things, don't you?
I seem to, yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Very well observed. Well, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah. I'll go along with that. Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, I interrupted you because you were going to tell me what you've been up to in the week since we last spoke.
Well, we're going to get a rescue dog in the
Oh,
family.
right.
We really want one. And do you know what? Last night I was getting the computer all ready to meet her at 7:30. Put it on the Zoom meeting, which I knew had Zoom on the computer, and it just wouldn't load. It just wouldn't. It said install it, so I put the password in. I couldn't get the password to go, and it's so annoying. And then I rang up. I said, "Help! Help! I can't get in." And then just spent half an hour trying to get this issue fixed. And lo and behold, I just had to email her and say, I can't get in, I've got technical problems, you know. So in the end, we're going to meet up. So we've been dealing with getting the dog and wiring the back fence of the house,
Right.
just getting it ready so it can't escape anywhere.
Not a bad substitute.
Yes, exactly.
And what's the dog called?
We don't know yet. We're going to decide once we've got everything through on the adoption process. But
Progress.
oh no. You have to go through hoops to get one. You really do.
Yes,
It's like,
I understand you do, and I do understand why. I mean, there are so many people that
absolutely.
abuse animals.
Yeah,
But are you minded to actually paint the dog?
Oh god, I always yell at Keith for doing that, and I just did it myself. Anyway, welcome back. In the background, you can see Stuart. I don't think he's sticking around, but he just came to tell me that Boris is terrible. Are you staying at all, Stuart?
No, I've got.
All right.
I've written a piece for Greenbelt about the energy business. Oh God, that's unbelievable.
Well, we'll have a
See,
good.
what happened was that Hunt was actually, she had this thing about two years frozen with the energy cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has actually truncated it to 6 months. That means in 6 months' time, the energy prices are going to go through the things, and who's going to bloody suffer from that? Yes, poor people. But it's a big, long story, and I'll send you if you like the one I've done for Green Barrel.
Oh yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I've got Green Barrel on my phone.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay,
it was
thank you.
nice to see you.
Well, I don't know. What is his master plan? Is he?
We're on air right now, so I'll talk
right.
to you later about it.
Well, no, I won't be around.
I know you won't be around. Well, I'll see you next week because I won't be around the end of the week because it's my birthday 2 days
Right.
after yours.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy birthday for Tuesday.
Okay, take care.
Bye. All right. Well, yeah, it's mine and Stuart's birthday pretty close together, and he's taken the week off, and I'm taking the end of the week off, and he's taking the beginning off. So, okay. So welcome back. I was just looking online and looking for new stories, and I found one which is quite interesting. So last week we covered that Alex Jones had been fined $965 million, one of the largest fines to any single person ever. He was fined more than the family of the shooter, and he has been persecuted more than the actual shooter of Sandy Hook. And let me clarify. Sorry, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I'll re-clarify. Alex Jones said that Sandy Hook was fake, that Sandy Hook school shooting never happened. He was absolutely 100% wrong about that. It obviously happened. There was some information at the time that did bring in some skepticism, but that information was false, and he ran with the story. But he did not kill anyone, yet he was fined almost $1 billion for his words. Didn't kill anyone. But people are saying, including myself, are saying that the only reason he's been fined this amount is because of who he hit, because of who he is. He's Alex Jones. He's the biggest figure in the right wing, period. Apart from Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones has the biggest right wing show on the internet. He's one of the biggest talk show hosts. He's been doing talk shows for almost 40 years now. He's been doing them since he was my age. I think he started when he was 17, maybe even. So he did it from very young, before I even started. I'm 18. But Alex Jones the families were awarded $965 million in damages because of his words, and got some harassment from some of his fans. And I will say, some of Alex Jones's fans are a little bit crazy, as most people's fans on the internet are. There are a lot of wacky people out there. But some new revelations in the story. Sandy Hook's family asked the judge to give him the highest possible damage settlement. The families have asked or suggested that Alex Jones be fined. No, this is not a joke. This is from Bloomberg News, a fairly reliable source. From Bloomberg News, the families of Sandy Hook have asked Alex Jones for $2.75 trillion. 2.75 trillion, not billion, trillion. That is somewhere between the net worth of France and Canada. Alex Jones is they're asking the court to fine Alex Jones more than the entire worth of Canada and almost the entire worth of France, which is utterly ridiculous if you ask me. He's already been fined 1 billion. To be fined 2.75 trillion is ridiculous, and I've seen multiple sources from this. The family really have asked for that amount of money. And this is from Bloomberg News, a reliable source of financial news. They're on par with the Financial Times. Fairly reliable, but a bit left-wing. Not left-wing, but left of center, as most mainstream publications are these days. But 2.5 almost $3 trillion. That is utterly ridiculous, and this is clearly political. It's clear that no one would ever get this fine if it wasn't for who they were. Again, Alex Jones has not killed anyone. Alex Jones is a political figure that the mainstream media don't like. He's being fined for who he is, not what he's done. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. If that goes through, which I don't see it happening, that will be the largest fine to anyone in history ever. Not even a company has ever been fined that much in a single fine. And think about how many evil corporations there are out there. I'm going to name a few, I suppose. Johnson & Johnson, they didn't even get fined that much for putting asbestos in baby powder. Yeah, asbestos was being put in Johnson & Johnson's baby powder in, I believe, the early 80s, 82, 83, around then, and they didn't even get fined that much. Pfizer, for all their wrongdoings in the past and how many malfunctions they've had with their various pharmaceutical products over the years. It just is unbelievable that they even dared to ask for $2.75 trillion. It's just ridiculous. I do wonder what the real fine will be after this, because he is going to be fined for a second time. It won't be 2.75 trillion, I'm sure, but what that number will be, I don't know. They're suing him. So the original lawsuit took place in Connecticut, where the school shooting actually happened, and then he was re-sued where he lives in Texas. So that's why there are two lawsuits: one where it happened, one in his own state. But we will be talking a lot more about this tomorrow with Liza Page. I always do enjoy the show we do together. But yeah, 2.75 trillion. I can't even imagine that amount of money, let alone anyone being fined. He doesn't even have $1 billion to pay off the first fine. How is he going to pay off the second fine? I mean, if you Google Alex Jones's net worth right now, it's minus $900 million. He didn't even have 50 million to begin with. 50 million is a lot, but wow, this is clearly a political attack. I do have another story somewhere, but we're going to go to a 1-minute clip, Grange Park, whilst I look for the other story. So I'll be back in a moment. So stay tuned. Okay, so we'll move on to a story here from the Argos, a more local paper. But they have here a story saying Worthing business owner calls for an end to RTM rail strikes. He's saying that the business owner has lost a good amount of money due to the continuous strikes and action by rail workers. Brendan Wright, 31, from Worthing, is self-employed and is a director of 12 musicals. Okay. Oh, no, I know where this is. Okay, I haven't been to this business, but I walk past it fairly often. But it doesn't say how much he's lost from these rail strikes, but it says a considerable amount of money lost by the rail strikes. And this is just one business. This isn't the full picture. Everyone's been affected by these rail strikes. Not everyone, but a good number of people. A lot of people's businesses, personal lives. I couldn't get the train. I wanted to go to Worthing because a friend of mine lives there and wasn't able to do that. Had to get the bus into work. And that's what actually started my daily bus journeys, because I realized how much cheaper it was than the train. And it's a lot longer than the train. It's about two and a half hours more than the train per day. That's for the round trip. It's about an hour and a half each way, I suppose. Just under. But the only people doing good from the rail strikes are the bus companies. I will say that. But it has been stressful. The rail strikes are causing everyone a problem. They're actually, just so you know, Lewis Bonfire Night is on the 5th of November, this Saturday, the 5th of November. And on the 4th of November, they are doing on the 6th of November, they're doing a rail strike. So the people who are coming to Bonfire, make sure you have a good method of transportation out, because you can't rely on the trains because they will not be running the next day. So you'll have to get the bus to wherever you're coming from. If you're coming to Lewis Bonfire Night, which you should. This year's going to be my first bonfire, so I'm quite excited. But we are going to go to. We have enough time, actually, so we're going to go to the rest of Sarah Fitch Hayes' arch to round off the show, because we have enough time to finish that off, and then I'll say goodbye. But this will, after they be uploaded in full, and it should be much better quality because this is coming through my camera system. This is coming through the computer onto the screen, so it's a bit laggy, you may notice. So sorry about that. But yes, later today this will be uploaded in full, in much better quality, and you can watch it at your own time. So stay tuned for that later this evening. So here we go. We'll play the rest of this.
The master of straight, iconic stuff, but straight and not flowery, if you like. A dog has got to be what I would call flowery, no matter what breed.
Yeah, I like saying it's got that sort of cuteness about it. It's a dog, and I used to do portraits.
Did
I
you?
did portraiture for 7 years.
Well, there we go.
So I did wedding pictures of people. I did their animals, the pets, And I remember once I did these 2 pictures of these 2 dogs. She just loved her dog, this lady. Absolutely loved the dogs. And I gave her the picture, and she just absolutely burst into tears. And I said, oh no, don't we like it? I'm so sorry. And my heart was going like this, going, please don't tell me I don't like it. She looked at it and she just put the picture down and she just hugged me. I love it so much. Absolutely no matter. And I was really worried she didn't like it. You know, and she said, this is the best. I love it. It's just, and that made my heart absolutely just melt like chocolate.
Yeah. Now, you showed us a picture last week of your gallery, or the gallery in which you display your your paintings in Brighton. How is it doing?
Well, I haven't dropped in since we last spoke, so I don't really know, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm one of those, artists that pops by. I don't interfere too much, and when I've got the new paintings, I deliver them, or I just put my head in and go hi, just very randomly. And I haven't probably seen them for about 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. So I think I'll probably make it about a month or so, just put my head in again.
She doesn't mention the little bits of pieces that are left behind that you never actually show.
Which little bits? I'm curious.
I know you've got secret little paintings which you don't let anybody see.
Oh,
isn't that right?
We've got some miniatures in there.
Yes.
There are some miniatures.
There we go. You see, I'm always exploring things with you. Yeah. See, I bluffed my hand there. I didn't know. But now we expect to see those secrets, you see, in future programs.
Well, the mini paintings, they're tiny.
Indeed.
Tiny
Lovely.
ice creams.
Actually, I think that to be quite serious with you, of all art forms, at least the painted work form, is miniatures are my favourites.
Are they?
Okay. I somehow I foodle around with miniature railways. I like miniature things.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
miniature paintings have the same tug on me as
Wow,
So you will.
I will find one or paint one or do it next time I do one.
Right.
Or I'll hijack the gallery. I will show you. That's definitely a promise to the future. Yes.
Right, okay. Tell us about the gallery, because we like to keep a week-to-week check on it. Has there been much activity?
I haven't sold anything in the last week.
Do they give you some idea of how popular it is?
They don't give you trajectories of what they've done and what they've sold, because I don't think it's any of each other's artists' business.
Right. They just tell you
so
what
they
you
just
haven't
tell me,
sold.
or each artist, they'll say, "Oh, you sold blah blah blah,"
Right.
and that's as and when you sell. So there is absolutely no news on the gallery, if I'm totally honest.
Right. Now, what we've talked about is your paintings outside my favourite paintings of yours, which is food. What's in your mind's eye, or in the pantry, or in the kitchen, that's about to be painted, or has been.
Okay, well, we did the Marmite. We talked about the Marmite. So that's all looking good.
Mhm.
And I have to say, I think it's going to be that Harvey's bottle.
Ah, yes, yes.
That's going to be, I'm going to buy 2 bottles of Harvey's beer. And what I'm going to do with one of them, I'm going to paint them. And the other one, I'm going to crack the bottle and then give it a go swing.
Are you going to paint somebody actually swinging the bottle?
I don't know about that. It's not good for animals.
Okay, and welcome back. That was the end of Seraph Cage's show. That will be out later today, and that'll be out in the full length in the quality it should be in, because there's some issues with showing the show whilst we're live. It loses quality. It's a real shame. But we are trying to buff out all the issues. We are getting there, bit by bit. It's a little bit stressful sometimes, but nevertheless, we will be back tomorrow. Me and Liza Page will have our show tomorrow, as we should do every Thursday. But this week is different. We're switching it to a Tuesday because I'm busy Thursday and Friday and cannot come in whatsoever. But that will be our show tomorrow, and that'll be a good show as well. Always excited to have her on. She always has interesting things to say. We get along with each other very well as well. So that'll be a good show tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry that there's been some quality issues, dipping in and out. Our little Wi-Fi router, mobile Wi-Fi router, cut out, but I got it back working, and then it cut out again. As you can see, it's currently cutting out, so we're using the hotel Wi-Fi again. But nevertheless, thank you very much for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.